I'm Chrissy, and Colleen can't be here today, but we are the CSisters. On this episode, we'll be talking to LaRhea Burke about some things she's doing in women's ministry.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm very happy to be here to be able to have this conversation.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Chrissy mentioned that I was here to talk about a lot of the different things I'm doing, and one of the main things that I've been blessed with an opportunity to be a part of is women's ministry here at the Gathering. We have a handful of women that get together once a month, and to see the way that God uses all of us to kind of come together and kind of use what our gifting is such a cool thing. So the area that I have been highlighted and worked specifically in is with like health and wellness and fitness. And so I wanted to first share that coming up, we do have an activity event that we've got on July 20th, and there'll be more information to come from that. So just please keep your ears, your eyes opened. The hope is to be able to get more women involved. I know that we all love spending time together and we all have busy lives at the same time. But some of these meets, it's something about bringing people from different generations together. We've got support from many of them, but I think we could certainly get support from all of them.
We can learn a lot too.
Yeah.
I love learning stuff from women that are older than me.
Yeah. And, we see we have such a great committed group when it comes to like our sea salt. I watch what they do, even if it's not even a part of women's ministry. I'm like, gosh, I want to do that too. Well, how come sea salt gets to do this? Yeah. Why can't we do this?
Yeah.
And I get to see like how they spend
time. And health and wellness
together.
is important.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Yeah. And I think, you know what? I just had this conversation with a friend, Lauren, and she also goes to Gathering here. And I was like, Lauren, I said, and she's a part of Agape. She works in Agape Moms. And I said, right now at this stage in my life, I'm like, preservation, and I know I said, we can't be the only ones. I said, I'm 37 years old and, I'm thinking about future, and I'm thinking about just wanting to be healthy, wanting to be there, the best way possible to be around my family, my friends. And, I have that sense that this is like the golden years of that. And so we were speaking because she's an Agape Moms. And I said, all of us moms, like especially in that age bracket there, this is important. And,
Yeah, I feel like young moms tend to forget about themselves.
Yeah.
They feel like they don't have time.
Yeah.
So they need something easy to follow.
Yeah, like they're in this sweet spot where, and you have to find the juggle because our children they take a lot of our time and energy, and to raise a family is a lot. But I really like to believe that many of our moms in that space too have these wants and these hopes and these desires to do these things as well. They just don't have the right channels and avenues, and maybe the right encouragement or accountability. So I spoke with Lauren about that, and we talked about, and this is new, but we talked about bringing some things into Agape Moms where we meet and do like workouts together, those sorts of things. So that's like a side thing, with the hope that we can all...
Yeah, I think that would be pretty amazing.
Yeah. And it would... I hope that we could kind of get connected personally. I do believe that a lot of those added things come from like friendships and personal relationships. And then once you start to feel comfortable with people, you start to, do more and be a part of more or want to be
and
there.
Being a mom with littles is it's tough.
Yeah. I kept trying to think back because mine is 11 right now.
Yeah, my youngest is going to be 16.
Okay.
But I did have a mommy group
Yeah.
And that really helped because we wouldn't meet every week, but we would meet and it would help because we could support each other when we were having tough times.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I first started working out, when I got into fitness, I have to think about this because it was just me and my son. And, one of the big facets of this was like, what would I do with my child? Like, what can he do? Like, these were the things, the hurdles that I had to get over to be able to even be able to start working out, which the main like focus at that time when I chose to do that was for him. I'd say it was my health, meaning I realized he was a little one, and I saw such beauty out of that. And I said, man, I want to be here for him. I want to be as healthy as possible. I want to run with him. I want to jump with him. Like, that was the stuff I was thinking of at that time. And in the gym I went to had a childcare area. So I'm saying the solving of my issue in that point was making it convenient to be able to take care of myself and work out and like work towards those goals. But then also know that my child had somewhere safe to be while I was out there doing that.
Yeah,
so,
you didn't have to worry.
Yeah. So
yeah, I took mine at the YMCA because they had childcare.
Yeah, and so childcare comes up a lot when we talk about things. So
if there hadn't been childcare, I wouldn't have went.
Yeah, and if my place hadn't had a place for my son to go, I don't think I would not have dove in as deep as I have at that point. So being able to incorporate that and knowing and understanding that weight of what it means to even be able to take that step and have support to be able to do it is so important. So that's one thing that we're gonna start doing is working in with our moms. But really the goal is just that when we do our Saturday meets, and we have one Saturday a month, and there's all sorts of things that happen. One of those Saturdays is the health and wellness, but another Saturday might be women's breakfast.
I think the Saturday's crafts.
Yeah, then we have
which my
arts and
sister
crafts.
does.
Yeah. So there's always something. This one that we're talking about for health and wellness is quite exciting because we are looking at going out onto the beach and doing a series of activities out on the beach. But you have time to bring kids. We'll have a space for the children. This is all in the works, but I was talking with Lauren, and it's Lauren Schober. I always say her name wrong.
I didn't know her last name, but I know who we were talking about. Yeah. She has chickens.
Yeah. But we've been talking about this, and so we're putting some stuff together now, with the goal to be able to have tents where people can be comfortable, because it's the beach. But, I think we've done two major things when it comes to health and wellness and fitness out here in Surf City with the gathering. And we've been given two great things from God. We've been given this bridge, which is every time we walk it, and we've done previous meets where we all walk the bridge together. It's very interesting when you put it in perspective, that bridge and like that big monument that he has placed here in Surf City, and how so many people gravitate to it, and how we all get to like experience it and use it and have love and community with it. And then the other thing he's given us is the beach. And so, we have the ocean out there, and it's like, as many times as we've maybe avoided going out there because of the heat. And I mentioned that from like a level of like our women's groups things, because like, it's hot, we're like, but we do have the beach. Like, who else? We are right here. It is right there. We can do this. So we're talking tents. We're talking ice buckets. We're talking water, sand castles, relays, like just little fun things, but, kid related, and who doesn't want to be at the beach in the summertime right now? I mean, it would be fun. So
kids was like relays.
Yeah. Like
maybe it would be hard for
like it's fun. We talked about, when you use that word fitness, it can run people away to a point.
Some people are like, I don't want to work out.
Right.
No,
They're like,
thank you.
I'm not trying to do all that. Like, I don't want to. So it's like, okay, maybe we'll remove the word fitness and we'll say health and wellness.
Yeah, that sounds better.
But, fitness and taking care of yourself and being active is more than just like lifting a weight or running on a treadmill. There are other things that we can do in our lives that are considered activity that
even just walking is good.
Just walking is, literally, it's that step. So that is what we're doing. So if you have been that person that's afraid of the word fitness and you hear fitness event, we're not here to like boot camp you. This is something that will have multiple fun activities that get us moving.
And people are at different levels too.
Yes, at different
like when
levels.
we're talking about cancer.
Yeah.
Like you can still work out and have cancer.
Yeah.
But there may be days where you can't either.
Yeah. So that's
if you're going through a treatment or something.
Yeah. And that's like the goal is to not be in a pressuring point. Everyone take it at their own level. But have so many different things going on that we can all just laugh and enjoy each other. Yeah. So
I'm sure we would be doing some laughing.
we will, trust.
Especially doing different stretches and
if we get the hula
poses.
hoops.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. Like, I've tried to hula hoop and as my adult life at this point, and it's a thing. It's a whole process, and you're just like,
I probably cannot hula hoop.
Right? That's
I had a hula hoop when I was young.
Right, and
I could barely do it then.
Yeah, so
That'd be funny.
That's what we've got.
Sounds like fun
coming up. So that'll be exciting. I hope we can get people from all over to do it. I don't want to meet people where the only reason we never met here is because they go at 9:20 and I go at 10:40. Because that happens a lot.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen you around, but I didn't know your name.
Right, yeah. And it's like, that's okay. That happened. We can't meet. This time is the time I go. This time is the time you go. But hey, the beauty of it is that we have other ways that we can meet and know each other. And so like just to have this, I think of like God and the way he works in our lives every day, every moment, every second. And so just even me just literally meeting you and talking to you for the first time like today, I'm like, oh, thank you, God. Like, this was a unity. This was a way he used us to come together. And I will hope that we can do that more with some of our women's groups and our women's meets, is that we allow him, I'm going to say it, that we allow him to use that situation to bring us together. So that's just one piece of things. Some other things that I guess I wanted to share about is, and I kept telling you that like there's this umbrella. I keep picturing an umbrella today. Some days it's a tree, and today it's an umbrella. And I see all the spokes and the way that like what all the different things God has like it's been doing and does in my life, and how he like brings it all to a point. If you were to ask me, like, where am I at today? Like, where does God have me today? Or what am I thinking about? And, it's that point. And that point is to share the gospel. Like, that's our point. That's our purpose. And I have to ask myself that. And so that's where I'm at today. I'm going, okay, God, I've got this spoke, this spoke, this spoke, this spoke. I've got all these spokes going on. And I want to make sure that in my life that the primary point is him.
Absolutely.
And it's in the moment of waves, you get lost in that, especially when there's 1,000 things happening.
Yeah, you can get too focused on one thing. And
yeah, so focused. So that's where I'm at today, is like, okay, where are all of my spokes going, and how are all those spokes pointing to the point? And making sure that, that I'm sharing about who God is, and really just telling people what he's done in my life, and encouraging other people to think about ways that he has impacted them in their lives. And, if you can at least identify those spaces and those spots in your life that he has worked and moved in, then you know why, you know what Jesus did for you then, because you know what he has done for us in the ultimate. He's paid the ultimate price.
I think that's a good point to make, yeah. Because I've done that before. I've gotten too wound up in like what I want to do and what my goals are. But ultimately, like you said, it's all about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I want to, at this point, and I'd like to say God probably maybe takes me through stuff because he knows me, and he knows that, I will sit back and reflect and maybe it takes him taking me through something that's hard, where I'm upset, I'm frustrated, I'm confused, but I'm sitting there going, but why? And I'm trying to piece things together, and I'm reflecting. And then like he shows me, and he says, whatever it is you're doing, all the things that you participate in, and, it's just don't forget the point, and it's like reflection on me, where I'm like, okay, I know my point. I know, like, I've claimed Jesus in my life, and I know what I want, but I can get lost in all this other stuff. And it's like, I want to share that to other people, and then say, okay, guys, so this is what I just went through. This is what, God just showed me. So I'm going to tell you what he told me. He told me we need to make sure we're following to the point. Like, you need to stop and think right now in your life. What is it of what you are doing that is sharing who Jesus is, sharing the gospel? Like, if you aren't doing something in your life currently, in your job, whatever it may be, and it's not surrounded around, or you're not able or are not doing that, then you might need to rethink some stuff. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't always mean change your job. It just means maybe think about the way you're going about your job. And that's kind of what he shows me. And I think he kind of puts me through it to then tell the world.
I agree. I think God has showed me through cancer, like, he's changed how I think. Mm-hmm. I was always worried about, like, when I was working, like, do I have a purpose? Like, what's my purpose? And now I'm like, going through cancer, I'm like, well, what's your purpose, God, through all this? And he's definitely showed me.
Yeah, he's used you in ways that you now can, like, share more, and like, we're here, like, and but it's a very intimate kind of conversation that we have with him, and that word purpose, and we can simplify that word purpose, and the simple answer, the truth, is Jesus. And then we can take that and then break it into even bigger pieces, so that you can start to apply that into your everyday, into whatever it is your life is. And, I ask that question all the time, like, purpose. And, I have to apply that to what I'm doing, and then go, okay, so obviously these are the things you do. So how is it that is sharing? And I mentioned, so one thing that I work in right now is I have a group called Beyond Fitness. And, Beyond Fitness, it means just that, like the word beyond, going greater than fitness. And it was just this, one side note to this is that I teach a kickboxing class at Surf City Fitness out here. So if anybody comes, Surf City Fitness. And
that's fun.
Yeah.
I used to do cardio kickboxing class at the Y a long time ago.
That's exactly what it is. It's cardio kickboxing. And I have done that for 4 years now. And, it's been at the gym in that space for 4 years. And I love it. However, we're at that point where I'm like, okay, purpose. Like, what is this? What is this that I'm doing? What is it that we could do more of? Like, and so this past month, like, God, like, placed it in my heart and my mind. He had me thinking of, like, that question where I ask myself, in what I'm currently doing, how better could I share the message of Jesus? Like, how am I? And then how much better could I share the message of Jesus? And a series of songs started playing in my car, and they were all, like, very upbeat, dance kind of songs that I would typically use in a kickboxing class, but they were all, like, faith-based and uplifting, but they were fun. Fun in the sense of, like, workout fun, where if you think about, like, a cardio class or a Zumba class, you kind of want a little bit of, excitement. They were powerful songs. And I said, oh, this is it. I said, we're going to do a Beyond Fitness kickboxing And, it's all going to be faith-based. It's all going to be about God. All the songs are going to be about the message of Jesus. Like that is what what we're going to do. So that is one of the new things that I'm working on right now, is getting spaces and spots locally out here where people can come together, and I get to share the message of Jesus through kickboxing. And that is so exciting. I'm so thrilled to be able to do this, because that is where you find your purpose. This is the purpose.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
I think a lot of people like that.
I hope so. If
I would.
If you don't like me, you'll like him. Because you can't, hear, when you love God, you can't hear stuff about him and not just want to praise and celebrate. And that's what that class is going to do. It is just that, a celebration. And it's not letting anything else hold you back from working out or whatever it may be. You come where you're at. But, it's a way to be able to glorify him and celebrate.
Yeah.
And so I'm really happy I can't wait to get to do that.
I could see a bicycle class like that, because they're loud.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. We only have so many minutes. And, this, when you get to know me, and as you are getting to know me, meet people that know me, God has made me that dreamer. You say bicycle class, I'm like, yes. I'm like, that too. You say hosting classes, would love to do something at the park, and, groups, big groups. We're talking, reaching people, talking to people. That would just be so exciting.
And some people would just see that and join in. You wouldn't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
A notice. They would just be down in the park and be like, oh, that looks like fun.
Yeah. That'd be fun. So I don't know, bicycle class near you. I don't know. I'm done fighting it in a way where, I wonder, okay, why do I do these things? Because I work out a lot. I go to the gym. Fitness is a big piece of my every day. And, sometimes I've battled that, where I'm like, okay, that's not all I am. That's not all we do. And it was in that thought process that I realized that it's okay that this is what I do. Obviously, God has built me for this, but now it's my job to make sure that in that and what I do, I am sharing Jesus in that, and be okay with that. I don't have to do a different thing, as long as whatever it is I am doing, it is that. So that is kind of what he has shown me in the last year, where I've questioned, why always this? Why is it always circling in my mind and in my head? Is this good for me and for others, or is this bad for me and for others? And so we're kind of going down that road.
I think you're on the right road.
Thank you.
Because sometimes you can get too caught up in just, where it's not about God, where it's about, self. Mm-hmm. And I've been there before, where, I like how you're glorifying God through exercise.
Yeah. And it's taken years to get to that point, but it's been the point of it. I shared with Pastor Bobby, when I first moved here, 2018, and I started working out, and now I hadn't worked out before. And I started working out, and I, managed to lose 100 pounds. So it was a course of a year or so, but, I wasn't, I don't want to say comfortable, but I would get stopped by people, because at this point I was kind of lifting weights and starting to build muscle. And I would get stopped by people, and the conversation was always oh my gosh, look at your, it was always something about the way I looked. And by then I had found Jesus. And so I was I told Pastor Bobby, I was I said I struggle, because I know that I don't want that to be what people know. I don't want that to be like what people see. You know, I felt at that point I was so convicted that there was so much more behind this, that's what I wanted them to know. Like that was what I wanted to talk about, you know. So because when, you know, if you stop me and talk, I wanted to say, well, here's why, here's how, you know. It's like I want to share that message, not, you know, the look of things. And so that has been that struggle for me, is like taking it from that, where it's like, oh my gosh, look at you, look at this, look at that, oh wow, and kind of going, yeah, but then weaving in how I can tell about how I did this, and then being okay with that first step of, you know, people are introduced to God in very, depending on the level of where they're at. What I've learned even in my life and other people, is that you're introduced to God in different levels. You know, somebody stopping and saying, oh my gosh, you look great, doesn't need, like, look, if I've been saved and I know who Jesus is and they are stopping to talk to me, this is a very, very basic way of how God can introduce you to somebody and how he can introduce that person to him. So the right words don't have to get said at that moment, but it's not a bad thing either, you know, because this is a way that God can speak to them and gives an opportunity to build upon their life. And even if I just mention his name once, like even if I just say it simply to them, you know, well, I had a lot of battles and, you know, I leaned on Jesus and he, you know, brought me through the trouble. And then they say, okay, well, have a nice day. Cool. You know, I mentioned, I shared a part, and it's God that does all the work.
Yeah,
you
maybe
know?
you just planted a seed.
Exactly. And so that is what, you know, in my life, when I say this to you, what he has allowed me to see now is that initial stop point is an opportunity. And it's not a bad thing. It's an opportunity to plant a seed, and he does the work. You know,
Yeah.
It's like I just say one thing, and it's amazing how he works in your life. And so
I never thought about saying, like, when someone gives you a compliment, like, I think it's easy now when people give me a compliment and you're so strong, like, I just say, no, I'm strong because of God. God is my strength. And that's a conversation starter too. But it can, like you said, even something positive like exercise, you can incorporate God into the conversation.
Yeah. And even wherever they're at, or wherever a person's at, you know, that is where they're at. So, and let God do the work. And so we can, you know, I say this to say, even not just with exercise, and it's going to apply with all of us, wherever you're at in your life, you know, just a simple mentioning, you know, vulnerability about your experience, you know, because it's real. So we don't have to worry about, like, what if they think this? Well, like, you know what? Half the time nowadays, I'm like, well, I'm just telling you my story. Like,
I feel like
you know,
people want to hear real things, real stories.
Yeah.
Not that not paint a perfect picture
Right.
of their life.
Exactly.
Because nobody's life is perfect. So, I feel like everyone's always going through struggles.
Yeah, we are. And that is exactly why, you know, I say, like, it's a beautiful little gift that God gives us, our story. So we all, no matter what job you're in, it doesn't have to be fitness, you could be, you know, whatever. I think it's kind of neat. I want to say this to, you know, whoever's listening, is like, you know, just share your story. Like, if you really believe that, you know, Jesus is your savior and he has saved you and that he is moving in your life, and, you know, you're praying about it or whatever it may be, you know, half the time the truth is literally all that needs to be said. You don't need to look to convince people of things. It's about just actually sharing the truth of your life, sharing your story, sharing your words, and the truth comes through that. I thank God all the time for, like, I see it as a gift or a blessing to have that truth, because no one can rewrite what you've been through. So, there's always like new sides of the story, and things always try to like say, oh, well, maybe she's not. No, like, this is what happened and this is how it happened. And I have no shame in that, because I know it's the truth. I know it's what I went through. So I'm just going to tell it and let it be. I don't have no worry about that. If people believe or not believe, or judge or don't judge, like, this is kind of what happened in my life. Mm-hmm. So.
And oftentimes someone will be able to relate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. This is just a good thing. But, I'd say, so if we look at anything else to share, we've got women's meets. So please, those are this like, you never know until you get there and you do them. And then you get to say, like, you really get those moments where you're like, gosh, thank you, God. And we ask and we pray a lot. I mean, I do, for new experiences or new ways that I can, be a better person or feel more loved or more supported. And, I don't ever know how, like, unless we open the door and participate in stuff and do those things, like, you never really know how God wants to like provide for you in that way. And if you aren't feeling provided for, then likely you do need to open your doors, because he's there waiting to give. Mm-hmm. You just have to be willing. So
I feel like just asking him, mm-hmm. like, God, show me what I'm supposed to do, or mm-hmm. use me.
Yeah.
He will.
Yeah, he will. And then it's like, he will. And then that next piece of it is like, okay, so now you've got to do your part too. And if it's not happening, if you're not noticing anything, if you're not experiencing anything, like, open your eyes and see what might be happening in the day, like what God does in the day. It's kind of neat when you simplify your life to day, because that's really all we have. Like, we're not promised the next moment, days, or whatever. So if you simplify it down to the day, and you get an opportunity to do something, and you know that you've been praying for something, that might actually be the starting point of that answer to the prayer.
I feel like that would be a good prayer for every morning. Mm-hmm. Like, God, use me today.
Yeah. And then open my eyes to see what you're doing around me.
Yeah.
Like when Colleen reached out to me to come here, I think that would be seen as one of those moments where it's like, okay, this is different. This is something else. And this is something God has brought upon me. So, and knowing you and knowing her, I'm like, okay, yes. So, so it's just that. So like praying for that openness, but then like actually then like grounding yourself enough to look at what's happening around you. That might be that starting point to the answer of your prayer.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's how this came about. Because I was like, it'd be nice to share something. And then Colleen came up to me and she was like, I had this idea. And I was like, funny you say that, because I was feeling like I should share in some way. I didn't know how. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that was God speaking, mm-hmm. and intervening in a way.
Yeah.
I feel like he does that a lot.
Yeah.
But like you said, we have to be paying attention.
Yeah.
Our eyes have to be open.
Right. Just open and and it's easy to say that. We say that. There's so many repetitive things that I might say to myself, like what I need to be doing, what I don't need to be doing, what I should be doing. So it is very easy to say that, but, we are, like, the reality is that we have that in us. Like there's a time where you just need to sit still, and God tells us that, and to really like think about things mm-hmm. and process through things.
Just listen.
Yeah. And listen. And
I think about that too. How often do I just sit still and just listen? Mm-hmm. It's not that often.
Yeah.
Even when I'm sitting outside, just sitting on my porch, I feel like I'm distracted a lot of times. Like I'm always thinking about something else.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so hard. It's difficult. I mean, I think we all do. So hopefully we can all relate to that same thing you said, because it is just very hard, harder than it's a practice. I mean, a lot of the things, there's that discipline in things that, like, God, I mean, there's the obedience. I mean, I'm getting into those words that people don't like to use, especially, when we talk about fitness, but not even fitness. Like, I get to take that same concept and then say, okay, but God said it first. And, things aren't always so pretty. Just like when people run away, when you tell them, oh, we're doing a fitness thing, and they're like, oh, I'm out. There's discipline and obedience, and those two things right there, I think you get to, as a person, process through multiple levels of comfort and uncomfort when you are being obedient and disciplined in something. You're going to have, it's not always going to be very comfortable, but, that obedience part is just knowing what you need to be doing, and knowing what you should do and doing it, like, following it because God says so, not just because you want to or don't want to. And, he gets to convict us of what we should and shouldn't be doing, and we know. And so it's like, okay, I know I've got to do this because this is what he says. And it's not always what we think we want, but that's being obedient. And then, then there's the discipline. And, I think discipline, you definitely have to just know what it is that you said you're going to do and practice it. And just, I'd say discipline is a practice, because until it becomes a habit and a consistency, but, practicing it. So if you say, okay, I have a hard time, and that's a very broad thing, but if you have a hard time sitting still, then maybe now you got to practice sitting still, and you have to, whether you write it in your mind, write it on paper, write a plan, write a week out where you're like, okay, this week, on this day, at this time, I'm going to sit for 5 minutes and like do it. And that to me is discipline. And so again, it's still not always happy, comfortable things, but it is a practice. And, if you build upon that plan and that practice, then you kind of get to move out of that piece, because then it becomes regular. Yes, you are still being disciplined. You're disciplining yourself and still showing up when you don't want to. But now it makes it a lot easier when you have done it consistently.
It becomes a habit.
Yes. And I whisper this because I say that's the secret to like my workout plan life is, it was not easy in the beginning, but I had a plan. I had like Monday you're doing this, Tuesday you're doing that, Wednesday you're doing this. And I just did the plan. Now, after a couple weeks, it was hard at the beginning, very, very hard, but I just did the plan. And now I'm at that discipline stage where it's like, okay, I'm disciplined. I go, I do it, but it's more of an annoyance of not wanting to do something rather than it just feeling like it's overwhelming. Like I can't do this. It's just like, I don't really want to. Okay, let's go. Like, it's just
it really is hard to start getting a workout routine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I even like exercising, but when I have to get back into it, it's always like, I don't feel good. I'm tired. I just feel so out of shape. It feels awful. But then like a couple weeks go by and you start feeling stronger and it gets easier.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this feels good.
Yeah.
I feel better about myself. Yeah. It gets easier.
Yeah. It gets easier. And then you just have to be, safe in that space, because there's like phases, that first phase, you don't feel great. You're doing it, but you're like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. I'm so struggling. I don't really want to. I'm tired today. Like you're 3 days in and you're like, I don't know about this, but then the next, month you feel great. Like you're like, oh, you're riding this, like, I'm amazing. Everything's wonderful. This is great. And like, you're now at the peak. But that's where, after that is where there's you get separated into the space where either you keep going or it kind of just starts to dwindle and fall off again. And, I say to that, just, you have to dive deep. You have to dig deeper at that point, because now you have to really hold into like why you're doing, like whatever your why was. And we're talking fitness right now, but like whatever your why is, you got to hold into that at that point. And don't let go. Don't let go of that promise, and keep going. Yeah.
So what kind of exercise do you do? You said weight training and kickboxing.
Yeah, I do weight training. So mostly like with weights, weightlifting. I work out once a week with the kickboxing class. That's the cardio portion of what I do. But mostly your traditional weight training. So whether that be, with dumbbells, barbells, machines, and then with the kickboxing class, I do, it's a full strength class. So we do cardio kickboxing, but I do use dumbbells also in the class, and we do push-ups. We do some things that it's not just moving around cardio wise. I'd say it's an altogether thing, but I usually train maybe like 4 or 5 days a week at this point. So yeah. It's been a journey. It's, it started off with the working out in my house thing. But again, it was with a goal to lose weight, be healthy, really be healthy, live life. And then it turned into, maybe I'll just try to like put on some muscle, because like, muscle is good for you. And then it turned into a passion and a love for it. And so it's not for everybody. Like, it's really, I say, like, there's 2 parts to it. You can have lifestyle of just living healthy, and even if it's just 20 minutes, like, you don't have to spend an hour. Like, you don't have to be like a person like me or anything. I did bodybuilding last year, and that feels like that took up a good couple of years of my life. And
I don't know if I could be that, I don't know how to say it, but that consistent.
Yeah.
Like, you have to eat a certain way and everything. Yeah. I think it'd be cool, but yeah, I'm not that.
Well, and it's like, it's certainly not something people totally just walk into. Like, I didn't. And for the longest time, I was that person. I was like, there's no way. I'm not doing that. I'm not eating. I'm not weighing all this. I'm like, I was just not that person. I was like, I love working out, but I loved it. I found a way to figure out what drove me in that space. And it was like challenging myself. So it was like overcoming things. That like drive to overcome was really what I liked about weightlifting, is just like challenging myself different things. And so when the bodybuilding came up finally, at that point, I was like, I guess it's a challenge. I want to see what else, what else can we do here? So, that was a whole nother thing, but it's not something everyone just walks into. But it was fun. It's fun. But I still just, whatever it is, I don't know what it's going to represent in my life, but I still want to make sure that I kind of circle back to the purpose, like circling back to the point. And that's really like the ongoing challenge, is just circling back to the point. But I think it's kind of neat how you said, like, you and Colleen like got together doing this, both thinking about sharing things and just sitting here in this chair. I'm like, it's really neat, because not only do you get to share your story, you get to allow other people to share their story. And so like, we're like double sharing here. And I just think of like, as like how simple, like one thought and one thing, one action, one thing that you've done. And now like it's connected dots with other people. So I actually like very happy that you guys did this, and that
it might encourage other people to share too.
Yeah, it really, and if anything,
in their own way.
Yeah, And it totally like feels like it fulfills something that like you've asked God for, and he's now giving you a platform to not only like tell more about like his hand on your life. Now like your platform that you're involved in gets to let other people tell his hand on their life. And so I'm just like saying like, thank you, God. So the other thing I know, and I'll just say this this year, and we'll say it's kind of in the works, but I did have a planner come out. So play, plan, and pursue as the name. And it's a planner that it's a co-authorship. And a friend of mine reached out to me because she knew another person. It's how it always works. A person knows a person knows a person. And she said, my friend is looking to develop a planner where the main part of the planner is a planner. So you're going to have your calendar. You're going to have the spots where you write what like things to do. There's sections in there where you take notes or write your prayers for the day. But the key part to each individual that's participating in this planner is that we were all to develop our own worksheet that could be used throughout the year to kind of lead people, whether it be leading people, like building upon the relationship that we have with God, but just leading people through their lives, but in a like a godly way. It's really neat. So there's like probably like 20 authors. And so there's like 20 different worksheets in this planner, all from different categories, different facets.
So does your worksheets have to do with exercise?
Yeah.
Like you can put how much water you drink that day, and like how much you weigh, and how many minutes you worked out. What did you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it also has like a piece where I talk about transformation, because really, I take this level of like, we take this level of like fitness and working out and planning things, but then we also take like, well, what inspires you? What was it? Like, it's that transformative part that God has for us in our lives. That my worksheet talks about is just transforming. And so then I've got some different verses listed within it too that kind of speak to that and speak to the character of who God is. And so that's my portion of the worksheet. But there's so much, there's like a plethora. The beauty of it is that the fact that he brought multiple women together, there's a plethora of worksheets and things. There's one that's like a confidence builder. It's so neat. Certain prayers to pray. Like it just, if you're seeking for something in the morning or you want to open up a book and read and see what to do today, it's very helpful in that way.
I feel like that could be beneficial to a lot of people, because I know I've worked with people that had students that wanted a really good planner.
Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of neat. Like the word guidance comes to mind right now when I think about it. And I think about like needing guidance. I mean, God is our guidance. And we're talking now, when you talk about a planner, this is an everyday thing, and every day we're facing something different. It could be good, it could be bad, or whatever it may be. We still need guidance. And you really like to say that guidance is what keeps us on track of the day. And that is a very helpful part to that, where, you sit down and you open up your book, your planner, whatever it may be, and you get your guidance for the moment. Like you get to ground yourself in what it is that you're focused on, what it is that you want to do, what it is you need to pray about. That is what I got into a habit. There was this book. Oh, what's it called? It's MacArthur. I didn't think of K. Everyone knows where it's K. It's called Teach Me How to Pray. I don't know if you've ever read that book.
I don't think so.
Okay. I love that.
I have a couple devotionals that like about praying. So I was like, I want to become better at praying.
I think we all like people. I mean, some people they open their mouth. I mean, like, not only if they're praying with themselves, like if they're praying for other people, you're just like, oh my gosh, like,
I know,
pray
yeah.
so well. But so this is, so I think we may all, like a lot of people probably have that moment. And I'd say it happens, especially like on your own. We think about, well, what do I pray about? Like, how do I pray? You know, like sometimes you can get caught up in this cycle where you just kind of say the same thing. And it's not that you don't mean it, but you're just like, God, make me strong today. And you're like, yeah, because obviously you really want him to help you with strength. But it's kind of neat when you start to like break down prayer. And that's what this book does. So this book takes prayer and it really like dissects praying. And then it also comes like along with like worksheets. So like at the end of each day, and it's like 20, I think it's called like 28 days. So it's like a 28-day plan. And every day, you know, you open it and there's a different blurb that we're reading about. And then there's different scriptures that we go into where you open up your Bible, you cross through, you read through, like you pray. And then like at the end of it, there's like a little short section where there's stuff to fill in. And not every week, not every day is there a lot to fill in. Some like worksheets where you do these studies or these follows, like they have like pretty in-depth things daily. And sometimes that's good and sometimes not, like wherever you're at. But I liked this particular book because some days it wasn't a lot. It was just, but it was enough. And then other days it was a little bit more and I had to come back to it the next day. So,
and that's okay too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I suggest you guys really, if you want to really understand prayer and get better in your own prayer life, I really suggest that book, Teach Me How to Pray. And it's by a lady named Kay. I think it's Kay McArthur. Arthur? Find out.
Kay McArthur.
Yeah.
I usually kind of go through the same how I pray. I usually start off with thanking God for whatever I have to be thankful, whatever I'm thankful for. And then I'm ask for forgiveness. And then I say my prayer, like what I feel like I need or what I could use help with.
Yeah.
That's how I go. I do a lot of praying in the morning and at night. And I fall asleep and I'm like, sorry, God.
Like in the middle, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's back to where we were at. Sorry, I'm getting tired.
If I ever have trouble falling asleep, like I just can't fall asleep, I pray.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like,
it's relaxing.
Yeah, that is such a nice.
I mean, really, prayer is just kind of a conversation with God.
Yeah.
So that's, sometimes I'm just talking, like blabbering. I'm like, oh. I mean, I know God hears everything and cares whatever we say, but there's that Bible verse where Jesus says something about don't just say don't just blabber. He uses another word, but I feel like it kind of like
it
blabber.
Translates to blabber.
Yeah.
I say that in the sense of the book that I read, the Teach Me How to Pray, is just, it's like identifying that, right? Like, if anything, I came out of that book feeling like I had my prayers were more effective in a way. And it's not even that I didn't say the same thing. I might have still blabbered. I still said, but like I felt more connected to God when I was praying because of how I was going about it and what I was saying and coming out of it feeling like we were really just having a good old conversation. So, I don't know. I think if
maybe being intentional.
Yes. Yeah.
I try to be intentional when I pray because I feel like even though God already knows what I'm trying to say, I feel like if I'm intentional, then he'll really know what I'm praying about.
Yeah. That's exactly what, I'd say that book, I came out of that, feeling more connected, having a better, improving my prayer life with him. So I plug, that's like a plug that I didn't even think I was going to mention, but I have like 3 or 4 copies of this book with the hope to one day like just pass it out to people because I believe that hard about this book. So if you are somebody listening and you live local and you want one, Just let me know. I've got like 3 or 4 that I'd love to pass out.
I've read books like that before where I'm like, I'm going to give this as a wedding present.
Yeah.
Do you have any last thoughts?
Oh, I think we unpacked a lot, probably a lot. Probably a good sense, this interview likely gives you a good sense of who I am. I hope it has. But, just knowing that God is he has a special place for all of us, and he has a special ministry for all of us. And, I really would like to see in the future a way to speak to people in a way where I show them, or we share with them, how you can have, you can go from having nothing to everything, just by, through Jesus. Like it's so much of what he's spoken to in my life. And I know that he's out there working in other people's lives. And so I had written this thing out where I'd wrote something that said, I think my ministry is like to tell people that you can be being lost, actually is a good thing. And it's kind of weird to say it that way, right? To be lost is good. Because I get to tell you guys, in my life that sometimes it takes being lost to be found. It really does. You could think you have it all and you'll never be found. You'll never find Jesus, but sometimes when you don't have anything and you feel so far away from so much and you have nothing, and you don't even, like when you're lost, a lot of times you don't even know you're lost. You're just like completely lost. And it takes being down so low to be found. But so the hope of that is that when you are found, you are like convicted, you are like shook awake. And that is what God has done for me, is like he shook me and like he woke me. And I want to tell about that. I want people to know about that. And if anything, I want to help shake other people. Like, you might be lost, but trust me, like, that's not a bad thing. That actually is setting you up for one of the most amazing, blessings that God's got for you in your life. Because I'm going to tell you how he does it. And so, like, that is where, a lot of my passion comes from, is just that. And so I just want to close, I guess, by saying that, is that, if you're somebody that feels lost, or you feel like, you don't know what you're doing, or maybe you don't even know, there's hope in that. And it's not, and it's been settled by Jesus. Like, he's the victory. So there's so much hope. There's so much more that God has in store for you. He's doing that with me now. And I'm looking forward to him doing that with other people too.
Yep. When we say there's always hope in Jesus, it's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's always hope in him.
I agree. When we're down at our worst, we are grabbing at, I feel like, straws.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're just grabbing for anything. I feel like a lot of people do that. But yeah, when we start grabbing for Jesus.
Yeah, we get to learn. Like, we're going to grab. But the thing is all those things that used to support you, you're going to learn that they are straw, literally.
Yeah.
Because, at that point, this stuff that you used to run to, that was the saving of your life, that seemed strong at the beginning, is not. You get to learn, like, oh, that's just straw. What else do I have to grab? And then you reach and you grab this person called Jesus, and he doesn't break. He actually, like, shows you his strength, and then you lean on it, and trust, and you believe. Like, you really start believing, like, okay, well, I was grabbing this other stuff and it's breaking, but I'm grabbing you and you're holding, and you believe, like, wow, this person is my strength. Like, I may not see it, but I feel it. He's there. Mm-hmm. And you believe it, and then you trust it, and then you just let it be. You just, it just, like, then just start the walk. I just leave it at that. Start the walk. Let him just walk day by day, and he'll lead you. He'll pull you. He'll pull you along where you need to go from there.
I think that's really good to end on.
Yeah.
So next time on the CSisters, I'm not sure what we're talking about yet, but it'll be something good.
I'm sure it will be. I started listening and I said, "Oh wow, this is neat."
It's kind of weird, but I'm getting used to it.
Yeah.
I just need to talk louder. I'm not very. I don't know why I'm not loud. My whole family is kind of loud.
I'm too loud. See, I'm the person. So like, if you guys ever need me, like, I would love, like, this would actually be really cool to do. But I need an outline. You're going to have to give me, because like, I will go.
You just keep talking.
Go and go. But I'm like, I think I'm that person where, I don't know, what show was it? There's several shows where, you have speakers and radio hosts and radio. So like, if you ever listen to podcasts, radios like this, there's always like a person, especially if it's a group, they always have like a job, right? There's a person that it seems like they're always the one that either asks the questions. And then there's a person that like always like brings you back to the points, like always like recircles back so that you're on the bullet points of the track. And then there's the person that just like talks and talks and talks and talks. And I really think, people would want me to be one or two things, either the talker or the pointer. And I kind of feel like they probably just need me to guide and point.
I'd rather just be the talker and not look at points.
Yeah.
But then I'd be going from here to there and everywhere.
Yeah.
Talking about everything.
That's so true.
You can hear more of our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.
Yeah.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget, even in the roughest waves, we know who calms the waters. Jesus. We will see you next time on the CSisters. Again, thank you, LaRhea.
You're welcome.